Hi guys, welcome to part two of I Got a Pain in My Butt. First of all, I want to thank everyone for their comments. They were hilarious. The episode, part one, rather, of this series was helpful to many people as they reported. And I also got the comments of how short my shorts were. Thank you, Dr. Chad. And whether they belong to my wife. Well, you know what? We're in a crisis, guys, and sex sells. And I know a lot of individuals had difficulty seeing the part where I was self-mobilizing the front of my hip, and I'm going to do that again so you can get to see that. Okay, this part two is focused on strengthening of the glutes while still mobilizing, stretching the front of that hip so as to take pressure off of those structures in the back of the hip. So I hope you guys enjoy this, and please keep the comments flowing during this time. It's so good to have a community and have some laughter. Okay guys, before we get to the strengthening version, I want to go over the self-mobilization, the self-massage aspect of really releasing the front of the hip before doing the strengthening exercises. Because you didn't see it in the last video, I'm just gonna run through it really quickly. And basically, I like to use sometimes a mobilization tool, and we do sell them here at Missing Link. We can bring them to your house if you need one. And you're gonna take it and you're going to get right on the top of the hip, and you're really gonna release it. And you're just releasing really the hip flexors, but you really get to the top, and sometimes I think you just get to the front of that capsule, and right where the bone is, if you can really release that front of the hip, it really does a great job on taking some of the stress off of the back of the hip. Now, the second part of that is, oh, good catch. The second part of that is using also a trigger point release ball, where you now get on the front of that hip and release it as well. And I'm going to change the angle just in case you can't see. Again, I'm right to the front of the hip, and I'm releasing those structures. I'm going very slowly. On the flip side, if you don't have a trigger point release ball, you can use a lacrosse ball, tennis ball, anything just to get deep inside there. And then you can use the foam roller. So you can choose your mode of mobilization. I'll work on that as tolerated. Really get in there, release that front of the hip, and then follow up with one of the many stretches I showed you in part one of I Got a Pain in My Butt. Now we're gonna review the strength aspect of I Got a Pain in My Butt. First, we'll start with the bridge. We'll start with the double leg bridge, lifting the pelvis up, keeping a nice neutral spine. Hips are nice and even. You're lifting through the glutes, and you're actually, as you lift up through the glutes, you're actually improving the length of the front of your hips as well. This is a simpler version of glute initiation, and you're also getting some hamstrings, but really we're focused on getting the hip extensors to work. You can do this about 15 times if you feel comfortable and there's no pain. Part two of this is now lifting, getting a nice bridge, and now lifting the opposite leg while still keeping the hips even, and back down. And you can alternate legs. And back down. Now, if you cannot keep your hips even, you are not ready for this part of the exercise. And you just may want to stay with the double leg bridge until you build up strength to do the single leg bridge. This next exercise, reaching for the stars, is one of my favorite. It's a little different than the single leg bridge, as we're moving the pelvis in a diagonal pattern. So you're going to be flat on your back, arms to your side, and with the leg that's straight on the ground, the ankle is flexed towards you, so the toes are toward you, and you're going to try your best to keep this leg flat on the ground. I'm a little tight, so it's going to come up just a little bit. And then you're going to push through your heel on the leg that's bent
and you're going to lift the pelvis up in a diagonal pattern and slowly back down. You start by lifting at the glute and segmentally working your way up to as far as you can lift without the other leg coming off the ground. And so you're moving in this pattern towards the ceiling. Not straight up, but at a diagonal pattern. And then when you come down, you start from the middle of the back and work your way down. So as I lift, I'm getting core, glutes, hamstring right there, and back down. Again. And as I get there, I'm now getting a nice stretch to the front of my hip while still getting my glutes to fire and strengthening my glutes. I love this exercise. I do about 5 of these at a time, just because we're focused on quality and not the quantity of the exercise. This is a very qualitative exercise. It's a little difficult. If you have some problems, drop me an email and let's see if we can talk about it. Or we can get on a telehealth call as we're starting that this week. Thank you. The hip thrust is one of my favorite exercises. It's great because it's going to open up the front of your hips and it's also going to strengthen up those glutes. So if you have a bench, a bed, or a couch, you can do this exercise at home. It's very similar to the double leg and single leg bridge. I just think it just focuses more on the glutes and you're able to hone into it a little bit more. So first of all, you're going to lie on the surface you have, and you're going to have the surface just below your shoulder blades. You're going to place your hands behind your neck to support your neck. You're going to start with the hips already in an extended position. So you should feel a little bit of tension in the front of your hips. Your legs are about shoulder length apart, and you're going to drop the hips down and slowly thrust them back up, getting your glutes to fire, and you're going to feel somewhat of a stretch in the front of your hips. For me, I feel a stretch in everything because I'm so tight, so you may not feel it. And down again, and back up. In this position, you are not going to allow your knees to fold in. It's not. If you do this, it's not going to work. You want to keep your position so your knees are over your second and third toes, and you're going to lift up and down. If you feel like you're having difficulty with not allowing your knees to come in, perhaps put a band around your knees, your thighs, and you can pull out against that band to help with your positioning. So this is the beginning. If you feel like this is easy, you can place a weight, or you can just place your hands here as well as resistance. But remember, if you have problems with your neck, you may not want to take the hands away from the neck. Part 2 is now you're going to lift one leg off, and you're going to, very small motion, and you have to make sure that the hips stay even. If your hips drop like this, you're not ready. You're going to end up hurting yourself, and that pain in your butt is going to come right back. So nice neutral position. So I hope the second part of I have a pain in my butt was helpful to you guys. Again, write comments below. I also remind you guys that we started our telehealth or telerehabilitation. Is both the same thing. This week at Missing Link Physical Therapy. Please call for more information or call to schedule your appointment. Thank you and have a great day.